Whine.
You're the producer.
It's Tuesday, August 9th, 2022. Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. I'm RisenLadyHeathen. Hey, asshole, what's up? It's our show for another Millennial news podcast.
The absolute cold and dead-eyed understanding that if you say the word, no one makes it out of this room, and there's nothing either of them can do. And that's if only one of us moves.
What did we do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I wanted that to happen. So he doesn't say the word, and the other doesn't have to be true.
Okay.
We have a boomer
Should I
and
be concerned?
Shut up! We have a boomer and Gen Zer, and not just any boomer and Gen Zer. We have Mr. BoomerRex himself.
I'm here against my will. Help me.
And my spawn Sleet.
Let's hope nobody accidentally
That-
says the sleeper agent word or whatever the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
Asshole and Mr. Rex eat, sleep, and breathe politics, and Sleet and I are learning. That's 4 unique perspectives we share along with the facts from our literal round table. Now, I was laughing only to keep from crying because this is crazy. But I love you all, so let's dig right into our headlines. Tell me about the meteors.
So anyway, one of the better meteor showers of the year is coming on the night of 11 to 12 August. Unfortunately, there's gonna be a full moon, so that will, typically you'd see 60 to 100 per hour. You're gonna see less than that, but it's certainly worth looking at for, right? So anyway,
Oh, the last ones we had snow, or not snow, brain, come on, try
Clouds.
again. Yes.
right,
One of
and
the
rain.
sky things.
Yeah. Anyway, so these are the Perseids, and they come from the comet Swift-Tuttle, right? So anyway, might be worth looking.
Fair.
So,
It'll be interesting for sure.
yeah. So anyway, check around midnight. Yeah, Google around, see if there's a better time to look than midnight.
That's what I was wondering.
Tonight?
No, 11.
No, the
11 to 12 is the peak. After the 12th should still be good because the comet streams are big.
The
Right.
11th and the 12th of August is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
The night of 11 to 12 August.
Yeah.
11 going on 12. Yes, that night.
A lot of phenomenon going on in space recently.
Yeah.
With the two solar, with the solar flare, and then the second wave of that same flare that's gonna happen
Yeah.
probably soon.
So, and those
Do
are
it.
little tiny silver flares.
Oh,
Z-class flare, do it. Burn it all down.
Bravery.
Put the
What's
humans back
going
in the
on
Stone Age.
here?
So, little girl in Afghanistan has learned where to hide her school books from her
Yeah.
brother's prying eyes.
You hope.
Yeah, you hope.
The fact he knows she has some means he's got something to play and shout about and could tell the beardy men's with the AKs.
Yeah,
The most committed. The men in charge.
right. You know where she hides them? In the kitchen, because men don't go in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Talking about a 4th century
Yep.
worldview. Anyway, since seizing power, the Taliban have imposed all these restrictions. And the
they're
one
doing
that
it.
bothers many of the young women the most is that they can't go to school.
Shit, let's use all our Russian visas on fucking Afghani girls.
That's true. If they can't breed, they can't continue.
Right.
That's right.
Well, and Afghanistan at least produced a little, like, hardcore commando team of women.
Yeah,
Right, like up there with the Peshmerga type.
I know. Who
Right.
managed to escape.
Yeah.
So, anyway. No, I just thought it was brave that they're having little private schools in people's houses.
Oh, yeah.
And the teachers are still meeting with them and so
Yep.
forth. And we're going to find out that the Taliban killed a bunch.
Yeah.
You know,
And I would.
it's-
That's the, like, nothing has changed in that aspect. There are valleys that we never had friends in and we're never going to.
Yeah.
And I would do some Kissinger
Bottom down.
ass level, high altitude, fuck, to whom it may concern, fuck y'all, bombings.
Well, and the other thing is, we still have a great deal of money that was supposed to go to them.
Oh, yeah,
And the
that's
answer
not-
is, are you out of your mind?
Yep. And I would drop a shit ton of the most ratty ass little 22 long rifle pistol.
Yep. Is it point it right at his nose and pull the trigger?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Putin running out of troops.
Oh, I love this one because everybody's been talking about, how, the Russians have this huge army and so forth. Well, they've lost 80,000 troops in Ukraine. And so now they're recruiting in jail cells, right? And offering to set people free and, forgive their crimes.
I don't think
so
you and I
on.
can support McNamara's 100,000 and be too far against this.
Well, here's my concern with hiring people out of prison, because most of those people, as soon as they cross into that Ukraine border, are gonna be
That's
like,
the part I don't get.
I didn't do it. Like, they just sent me here. Can I call my mom?
Yep.
Give me some food and shit.
Well, and the
People
other
are
thing
crazy.
is, we've seen how well-trained the well-trained Russian troops are. Imagine how good these troops are going to be. So, because they're just going to be handed a rifle and told to go to the front and die like proper cannon fodder. And I agree.
And
what they
I
should do
don't
is
think
raise
that's
their
gonna
hands
happen.
and
I
walk
think
forward.
I think they're
Yeah.
going to, just be
I
like,
think it's
"Nope."
kind of like they'll be shot by the troops behind them if
Nah.
they try and surrender.
They've also lost 1/10 of their people. This is fine.
It's a pretty awful war. So,
Russia doesn't have good wars. I don't know who they pissed off when they were making their character, but I don't know. They took a 7-point flaw to be able to make weird little eggs. I don't understand what the fuck they've done,
we
but
should
it's all
seriously
Chechnya and shit.
make our own version of Risk and pace it on
Handicap the
current
gays.
information and handicap
CIA fact book.
Yeah.
There was a game that basically lets you do a lot of that, and I enjoyed it. That was fun
Yeah.
because you could play any country in the world and try and take over. You could get
Yeah.
no politics something. Anyway,
game based on CIA fact book.
yeah. At least narrow it down some.
Yeah. I think that'd get you in the ballpark.
All right. So anyway, there should be consequences. We have several things.
So we
under
see Rudy
here tonight.
Giuliani desperately not wanting to, testify in Georgia. So anyway, the
Do you
judge,
want to? No, sorry.
the judge has given him until August the 17th to make the 13-hour drive,
Well, it's going to be longer from
and
New
told him he'd
Hampshire.
better be there. I know, and that's the second thing is that after having told him he couldn't travel, right? He's been up in New Hampshire. So yeah, right. Anyway, if I were Rudy Giuliani, I'd show the fuck up on the 17th because I don't think what happens
I don't
after
think
that
he
is going to be
plans on
fun.
No, because didn't the dude say we have other ways of getting you
Yeah.
here? You have been formally
Yeah.
invited, and we can push that issue.
819 days, long time to hold out.
So anyway,
Oh,
go
yeah.
after him. I don't think it's been that long.
No, that's how long it is till the next presidential election.
Oh, got it.
It's 91 days until the midterms.
So anyway, go ahead, Rudy. Fuck up. See what happens to you. You could take a very unpleasant ride in a prisoner's bus.
No, he can't. He's a white guy with money.
He can still take the ride in the prisoner's bus.
Or is someone other than cops going to be driving the bus?
Yeah.
Oh, fine. Cool.
Okay.
If someone wants to steal a bus and go kill Rudy Giuliani, I don't give a shit.
No.
I am
He's
completely
they're
utterly
going to put him
indifferent.
on a standard prisoner transport bus, which are not run by the police.
Fine. Whatever law enforcement agency is not going to do anything. So
It's not a law enforcement agency.
all the times people have died in the back of things, it was cops at fault. Except for that time the EMTs strapped down a guy after giving him ketamine, but that's a whole.
No, we do prisoner transport buses.
Yeah,
all the
they don't
time.
turn up dead. That's not the ones that turn up dead in a rough ride.
Fine. Yeah.
And no, the mercenaries that do that sure as shit aren't, because Rudy Giuliani probably owns a fair amount in their boss's company. You can look at his sales after 9/11 of radios and all sorts of other faulty equipment, or rumors that he sold faulty equipment.
Yeah.
He's definitely gonna have some fingers in the for-profit prison pie.
All right. So are we up to about damn time?
Yeah.
Hooah! FBI agents executed a search warrant at former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago Country Club. They are reported to have removed several boxes of documents. And of course, you know who has a copy of the search warrant and a list of what was taken? Donald Trump. So he can solve all the problems by releasing those.
Yep.
So anyway,
He's not gonna.
well, he's not gonna for a reason.
He should.
Oh yeah, because we know exactly what the problem is.
Yep.
All
Except
the
here's the
bad
thing. If it lists the classified documents in a way that would make them identifiable, That would lend more weight to his claim that he declassified these documents. The fact
Typically,
that it's not registered anywhere is going to be the bigger problem for him.
typically, classified document typically have an unclassified title.
Yeah.
Right. For just that reason, so you can put them on the fucking
But,
inventory
fine.
list.
You've now got everyone going through the Googles, and I assume the regular smart kids are combing GitHub looking for
Yeah.
anything related.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see what comes of it. It's just been wonderful.
Didn't one of the committees that was hired into looking into Trump also recently get permission to look through his IRS tax records?
Yes.
That the House can, in fact, subpoena them.
Yep. And the IRS must provide them.
Yeah.
I'm sure Trump will find a new way to try to get into
I
court.
was going to say, has anyone handed those to Congress yet?
Yeah.
Then we'll see.
It was a federal appeals court.
Yep.
No, that leaves SCOTUS
Yep.
to say, oh, no, you can't do it to
We
Donald
believe in
Trump
this
because
bit.
he's anointed by God to lead America.
Imperfect vehicle.
God. All right. Let's get through Marjorie Taylor Greene's bullshit and then move on quickly.
All right, which brings up just fuck 'em. So we'll start with Marjorie Taylor Greene's smokescreen of the day. So didn't even bother to wait for the official responses to use the occasion to attack the Republican establishment. I've talked a lot about the Civil War and the GOP, and I lean into it because America needs fearless and effective Republicans to put America first. So, first of all, fuck you, honey. And second, I love it when the GOP are shooting at the GOP. It's wonderful.
All right. Now on to
Right.
this fuck 'em.
That's her going after DeSantis's backing.
And all those other people.
Yeah, but if the base moves, DeSantis can go home. He's just one more Jeb Bush kid. The money kids don't have enough bodies to move the Republican Party.
No, but they can starve it to death.
No, they can't.
Yeah, they can.
They can try, but I don't think they will, because I think the bosses play at a level like this that if you don't pay your dues, you get regulated.
Only if they win. So anyway, Trump, of course, came out with statements, just the standard diarrhea stream of deflections. Talked about Watergate and Hillary Clinton and conspiracy theories that Trump is the victim of political persecution. No, they had a search warrant, which means they had reasonable cause to believe that a crime had been committed and evidence was at Mar-a-Lago, and a federal judge signed off on it.
This is coming from the same people who, at CPAC, this most recent one, stood under a banner that said, "We are domestic terrorists." So if you're a good Republican and you're standing with them, what the fuck do you mean by good?
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's the standard, what about, right?
It's effective on people
So
who
again,
already don't
Trump
wanna
has a
look at the thing.
copy of the search warrant.
Yep.
If he wants people to know what's in the search warrant, all he has to do is release it.
Yep.
But anyway, just paranoid gibberish, and of course the actual details, well, those don't soak through a red hat. So anyway, top congressional Republicans are rushing to Donald Trump's defense. Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy told Attorney General Garland to preserve your documents and clear your calendar.
That's
of course,
good,
his
though.
preserve the documents has no effect whatsoever. They don't have to
No.
preserve anything.
Democrats obey the rules about keeping those records and shit. We're not the ones who, after we're governor of Massachusetts, staff have to buy their hard drives because, I don't know,
Yeah.
you did so much good business.
Yeah.
And
Or like the Bushies who pulled the hard drives out of their computers and ran away.
Yep.
All of those were federal crimes, by the way.
And we saw how much time anyone did for those, which is why
Yeah,
I've
no.
got no faith. Plus, again, the FBI wants to write its own search warrants again.
So let's see, what else have we got? Trump supporters formed a little convoy and drove up and down the street with their
Yeah.
vehicles painted like American flags and so forth.
Outside of Mar-a-Lago, like you do.
Yeah, well, they're going to get sent away because Mar-a-Lago's a nice neighborhood and the neighbors
No,
don't
it's
like
not.
Trump.
Donald Trump lives there.
Well, peace.
Everyone who lives there is scum by virtue of living near Donald Trump. Good job.
Yep.
You're exactly the kind of rich people
Well,
everyone knows you
I
are.
do love that
They're
they
the ones
did
who
try to
chased
get him
off
kicked
Ivanka
out.
and
Yeah.
Kushner. So
Did they chase him back into the sea or wherever those two?
They chased him back to New York.
I'm
Or
sure
whatever
that's hard.
cesspool they crawled out
I
of.
would like to point out I would liquidize more people that live around Mar-a-Lago to live Ivanka and Kushner's life. Like, if, oh my god, if there was a machine that could yank my soul, Mitt Romney, get to work on that. I know you gotta be looking for that kind of thing.
Maybe you know he's got
Maybe
one.
you can put a ghost into fucking Paul Ryan.
Yeah.
God damn. Anyway.
And so this is really great. So this morning, Scott Perry had his cell phone seized by the FBI.
Yep.
They showed up unannounced and took it. He says, well, why didn't they call my lawyer? Because, you know, we have evidence that some other scum like you were destroying evidence,
And you were asking
including
for a
the
pardon.
Department of Homeland Security and the Secret Service.
Or reported to have asked for a pardon.
Yeah.
Which means you're worried about your criminal exposure, which means no. We don't have to assume you'll turn over documents that would, right, violate your Fifth Amendment. If you hide those documents, you can plead the Fifth. Don't take anything I say as actual legal advice. Talk to your own lawyer and no one else.
If you can find one. Hey, Scott Perry.
Oh, he will. He's got
Again,
money.
right? This is not a raid. They showed a federal judge convincing evidence that a crime had been committed.
Did they shoot a
And
dog?
that,
Did they flashbang a baby?
yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
And you
I
haven't
love the
been
idea of
searched.
someone throwing a flashbang in the crib with fucking Eric Jr. or Eric, but
Yeah.
and then the police going, "We're not paying for it for reasons." Run.
Oh, God. So let's see. Yeah, that winds up. So again, to all those Republicans who are defending Donald Trump, fuck you.
No, for the ones who are defending the party of your father. Did the party of your father hang out under signs that say we're all domestic terrorists?
Right?
You got to believe people when they tell you who they are.
Yeah.
They certainly
Like,
have
I'm not
provided-
kidding. If it goes sideways, there's a non-0% chance you'll meet me or someone who looks a lot like me coming through your window with a hatchet. We should not fuck this up. It would be way bad.
I carry hammers, just so you'll know the difference.
Fair. No,
Okay.
human make fine, Joey. It's good.
Back to Marjorie Taylor fucking Greene. You can't get rid of this woman. Anyway.
No, but I'm always
What?
curious because she's got this good trick of, or did we already do that one?
We
There's
already did
another
that
one.
one.
No, there's another one. Kick ass.
No, yeah. Marjorie Taylor Greene said,
These are always useful because, right, she's like the magician's assistant. Her job is to get you looking somewhere else. But you can tell where
Yeah.
she doesn't want you looking
Yeah.
based on where she's going.
so the FBI has gone rogue and is doing the dirty work of a communist regime.
You know what I find really funny?
Deny, lie, counter accuse.
I'll have to run this down, but I've heard it reported in more than one spot, so I'm going to go with it. That kid they had crying in the thing at CPAC,
Uh-huh.
did we discuss that kid's background?
Oh yeah.
Supposedly
That
he said
He's the
people.
snitchy one!
Uh-huh.
He gave up his January 6th brothers and sisters
And
so that
was
he could
significant
get
in
out.
their prosecutions, yes.
Yeah.
So he could be
And
at
then
CPAC
he
because
was at
ka-ching,
CPAC.
because he's a
Oh my
good
God.
capitalist.
And then Marjorie Taylor Greene came in and was like praying with him, and it's okay.
That's what I don't get about this.
God.
We're talking about an ideology that is so clearly devil take the hindmost. How the fuck
Right.
does that ever organize
And
into
they're just
a
they're
team
just
bigger
shearing
than
the
two?
sheep. This is all performance art.
Yeah.
At what
Literally,
point do
like,
those
in the
idiots
cage.
in the red hats, I'm sorry, at what point do those angry Americans in the red hats figure out they've been duped for 6
run,
years?
Run. It's bigger than any rake that's ever been seen before.
All right, and then
Because they will operate
you had a
the
quick thing about-
pretend runway until the big planes come back and someone brings back the American dream and the mill and
Well, they're
labor
looking-
rights and for
they're
sure.
looking in the
Totally
wrong
Pied
direction.
Piper. No shit. Dr. Oz made his entire fucking career on you can lose weight and eat this, or you can eat chocolate cake and lose weight by taking this one pill. And then I don't think he was recommending meth, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. You had a quick thing on Ronnie Jackson.
Oh, I
No,
gotta be
that's all
quick.
right. Let's move on to dumbass du jour.
Oh, what they do now?
So, Florida GOP state rep Anthony Sabatini has called for his state's legislature to break away from federal agencies. It's time for the Florida legislature to call an emergency legislative session
Yep.
and amend our laws regarding federal agencies, which the supremacy clause would suggest is fairly pointless.
Our party fucks around entirely too much on sanctuary cities and 12 other things. If they're not going to do what they don't want to, it's been a mistake for a while.
So anyway, I can't think of anything better than having Florida secede.
Oh, there's a whole shit ton of fun games the feds can play at this level of no more money, no more, right? You can't
Yeah.
access our cheap-ass rifles or armored
Right.
vehicles or...
And now you can pay Social Security and Medicare. Mm-hmm. All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and no highway funds.
Yeah, nothing.
So, like, all the fun of seceding with none of the benefit.
And then Matt Gaetz. You know Matt Gaetz, he's a firm supporter of law enforcement and so forth.
Well,
So today he came out to defund law enforcement.
he likes the FBI, but he really does think it means female body inspector. No one's told him otherwise.
Oh, my
He's a
God.
fucking tooth demon, and I get to be rude to him when I want.
They just wanted to storm the place like the East German Stasi. This is, in my opinion, the most defining moment of the Joe Biden presidency.
Hold on,
it's
pause.
a standard operation against suspected criminals.
Who the fuck?
Except they didn't use flashbangs. They didn't shoot the dog.
Who told Chopper McBites things fucking about the Stasi?
I guarantee you,
What
he
book
didn't
did
know.
he find in his dad's library? Anyway, I'm fucking thunderstruck. Someone else had to have used that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, no,
around-
somebody else told him that. He didn't know.
Just sad, shearing all the little sheep.
So Trump is already out with an email blast. It's time every patriot to step up and stand against the left's reckless witch hunts and political persecution of President
Saying
Trump.
he's not a tooth demon.
Adding, please rush a donation immediately to publicly stand with, right, just out there shearing the sheep again. And of course, Trump's not the only one. J.D. Vance is right out there, right? This is not a drill. Trump, Trump is standing up for us, and it's time to show us we're back there. Act here. I'll bet you money that J.D. Vance's link doesn't send any money to Trump.
Oh, I'm sure not. I have an idea.
Yeah.
We need to get all of the left together, and we need to see if we can't trick them into buying into our shit by pretending to be into their shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, we'll run around, babble about family values, and do all the drugs and whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And they can suddenly care about equity and
Yeah.
civil rights, getting services to historically underserved communities. Like the rural South.
Right. Oh, God.
Like that's never gonna happen.
Hi. That's why I was kind of hoping we could just all if we just shift over, we could push them. I don't think it works like that.
Actually, it kind of did.
Yeah.
Because the Republicans who are now frantic about having done away with Roe v. Wade and what effect that's having on the polls, they're now all in for maternity leave, right? Which, of course, they've opposed at every turn.
And
So I say, hey, fucking pass it. Join them, pass it, take credit for it, and then make it impossible for them to knock it down.
yep.
Fair.
Yeah.
Chris Christie, FBI's raid on Mar-a-Lago was fair game. Duh.
So while people like Glenn Youngkin are all putting out statements about unprecedented and how it was a weaponization,
Yeah.
Chris Christie has a different take. He says, this is fair game if the factual underpinnings that led to the FBI's search are true.
Yeah. He, like everybody who's got an IQ over 3, well, an IQ bigger than their shoe size, wants more information.
Yeah. And Trump hasn't. All Trump has to do is,
Oh yeah.
what can I tell you?
Nope. Right. The problem is Trump's not going to do a dumb thing like that.
No.
That takes the interest off him.
Well, and more importantly, it's going to disclose what
Oh, yeah, no,
criminal
exactly.
acts the FBI was
Yes,
there to
it hands it to
investigate.
exactly the people Donald Trump can never hand it to, right? Donald Trump can't, hand it back to the fucking studio.
Yeah.
He has to keep the lights always pointed at him or he'll die.
Yep. I was kind of hoping you'd go apoplectic, have a stroke. But anyway.
All right. Anti-choice still looking to go nuclear. What's going on there?
This is wonderful, right? So again, Republicans fighting
Oh,
with
yes.
Republicans about how far they're going to push those anti-abortion laws and what are they doing with exceptions for rape and the
Yep.
mother's life and
That was-
how can I support this? And those people are, they're out there condoning murder, and it's just wonderful to watch. And we got to keep them on the front page doing that.
Absolutely, because
Right.
what we mustn't do is the first day they overturned it, or the morning after. They were interviewing people who are at least passably good humans involved in like trying to make abortions not happen, like trying to set up adoptions
Yeah,
and stuff. And like, the problem is those good people give coverage for the people that go into war zones and steal children.
Oh, absolutely, and the
Americans go into war zones.
several of the kangaroos on the Supreme Court were talking about safe havens where you could bring a baby and so forth. So what they want to do is just rent your uterus, stick you with all the. I'm sorry,
Yeah, I
don't
was gonna
rent
say.
it. They want to control your uterus, stick you with all the bills, and get the kid.
Yeah.
So their
Protestants.
Christian nationalist Protestant friends can sell them,
Yeah.
which is what they do.
No, this is the revenge of the Walls.
That sounds pretty standard for America in
The
general.
Christo-fascist batshittery that's
Yeah.
always been stuck to the
Right.
bottom of our shoe.
And if you,
You
want to
know,
go looking
like
for
the
the missing
pilgrims.
Mexican kids, I would start with that crowd.
Yep.
So again, I bet they bought good prices. Probably not as good a price as, Caucasian non-Hispanic kids would have brought, but
Speaking of ways we know General Milley is just trying to launder his fucking thing, is he didn't send any troops to deal with any of that shit.
Well, and he didn't hand Trump his letter of resignation.
Yeah, I don't care about
So
that.
I wonder when that was written. Was that written last week, do you think?
Has anyone seen it?
I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
I
it's
want to
been-
examine his computer. I want to see date created.
Yeah.
So anyway.
No, I'm going to care more about the things he could have actually done. He's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. That
Yeah.
guy who looked like a lot like he was stealing kids in Poland. And yeah, the Polish police were going to sort it out. Or some dudes with Blackhawks show up and say they're in charge and they've got all the guns because America brings guns to all kinds. America
see,
brings
what
guns
is
to
it?
T-ball games.
You shall know them by their deeds
Yeah, well, works, but
or acts.
yeah.
Again, that word is loosely translated.
Oh no, I for sure agree.
Okay. Anyway, let's see. Health threats. We got to move right into health threats.
Okay.
Rainwater almost everywhere on Earth is unsafe
Oops.
to drink. It's full of PFASs,
No.
right? These are the forever chemicals that don't break down.
And
Right.
can't be boiled out of water, I would assume.
No, they can't,
Hence why
right? They have a
Yeah,
lower
exactly.
boiling point than the water, so if you boil the
Ah,
water, you
okay.
concentrate them.
Yeah, but that means I could at least maybe fix the water
They have
without
been,
big amounts of electricity.
you'd have to put more effort into it than you should have.
Oh yeah.
From rainwater.
you might be able to get it out with ion exchange resins. They're not, the problem is they're not terribly reactive, right? But they have been linked to fertility problems, increased risk of cancer, and developmental delays in children. So,
See, this is where I wish I didn't have a wow, that and I'd still be at an insurance company. But your brain. Ah, yes. Developmental delays. I would love to be able to start the conspiracy theory that that's why the number of autistic and spectrum kids is going up,
yeah, there you go.
but
Well, could
I
well be.
won't start. Yeah. It would be interesting.
We
I'd
don't
love
know.
to see a study,
Yeah.
but
I'm not
That
sure.
would make
this-
sense.
All right, and on to climate weird.
and we've got some of the studies. Some of the places that
Yeah.
have been downriver of some really horrible American like blue chip companies. Blue chip, is that what I want?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, big rich companies.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
long time motherfuckers, like back when Sears and Roebuck existed, only the
Yeah.
chemical butt kind.
Yep.
And yeah, oops.
So climate weirding is beginning to feel like, just endless repetition. So France is in
It's
their
bad. It
fourth
could be worse.
France is in their fourth heat wave of the year.
That seems a lot for.
They're not
7
going to
months
set
in,
any
8
new
months in.
records, but it's absolutely not climate, right? Again, what we're talking about is climate weirding.
You mean a
that
heat
your
wave every
climate-
other month isn't?
Well, this has
weather
been a
and-
heat wave every other week for 2 months.
Terrific.
So anyway, they'll see temperatures as high as 104, and the temperatures at night will not drop below 68.
Yep.
So their houses will
Didn't
stay
they
hot.
have a bunch of
and-
people die?
Oh, yeah,
during this
absolutely.
over the
They
summer?
don't- No, they probably know
They
about
don't
the
have
summer
air
numbers. Yeah.
conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is increasing their overall mortality just across the board. It also means they're not getting as much sleep as they think they are.
Yep.
Because we are designed to sleep in some fairly cold ass environment.
Yeah. Anyway, the high temperatures are coming in the middle of the most severe drought ever recorded in France, and it sure ain't helping them fight the forest fires. So, hey, keep it up. Gonna find out what it's like. There aren't going to be all that many places on Earth that are suitable for life.
Yeah, we drop firebombs all those places.
Well-
Full ass Mad Max.
Yeah, let them join in the fun.
If you gentlemen will permit me, I
Sure.
found an extremely interesting opinion piece.
Cool.
So it's from theatlantic.com. It's called What Comes After the Search Warrant? Why August 8th May Become a New Hinge Point in U.S. History. And it's by Tim Alberta.
This is about the Lionsgate.
No,
Are
this
there
is
ninjas in the story?
This is by a reputable person who has been reporting on this stuff for a while.
So there's not a
let's
princess
get
either.
into this.
All right, let's do it. I'll be quiet.
Well, you guys can kind of wave at me if you have something you want to say, and I'll stop at the end of the paragraph, okay? If Donald Trump committed crimes on his way out of the White House, he should be subject to the same treatment as any other alleged criminal. For the reason for this is simple. Ours is a government of laws, not of men, as John Adams once observed. Nobody, not even a president, is above those laws. So why did I feel nauseous yesterday watching coverage of the FBI executing a search warrant at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate? Because this country is tracking toward a scale of political violence not seen since the Civil War, it's evident to anyone who spends significant time dwelling in the physical or virtual space of the American right. Go to a show, visit a right-wing church, check out a Trump rally. No matter the venue, the doomsday prophesizing is ubiquitous and scary. I can't say that word.
Ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous. I know the word, but my brain
I
is
know,
like, we don't
I-
know how to pronounce that. I don't think we've ever said that word our entire life.
I don't think we have.
Is ubiquitous and scary. Whenever and wherever I've heard hypothetical scenarios of imminent conflict articulated, the premises rests on an egregious abuse of power, typically Democrats weaponizing agencies of the state to target their political opponents. I've always walked away from these experiences thinking to myself, if America is a powder keg, then one overreach by the government, real or perceived, could light the fuse. Think I'm being hysterical? I've been accused of that before, but we've seen what happens when millions of Americans abandon faith in their nation's core institutions. We've seen what happens when millions of Americans have become convinced that their leaders are illegitimate. We've seen what happens when millions of Americans are manipulated into believing that Trump is suffering righteously for their sake, that an attack on him is an attack on them, on their character, on their identity, on their sense of sovereignty. And I fear we're going to see it again. It's tempting to think of January 6th, 2021 as but one day in our nation's history. It's comforting to view the events of that day, the president inciting a violent mob to storm the U.S. Capitol and attempt to overrun the results of a free and fair election as the result of unprecedented conditions that happen to converge all at once, conditions that are not our national norm. But perhaps we should view January 6th as the beginning of a new chapter. It's worth remembering that Trump, who has long claimed to be a victim of political persecution, threatened to jail his opponent, Hillary Clinton, throughout the 2016 campaign, reveling in chants of "lock her up" at rallies nationwide. Republicans did not cry foul when the FBI announced an investigation into Clinton just days before the election. It was during that campaign, as I traveled the country, talking with Republican voters, hoping to understand the Trump phenomenon, that I began hearing casual talk of civil war. These conversations were utterly jarring. People spoke matter-of-factly about missing arms. Many people were preparing for a day when, in their view, violence would become unavoidable. I remember talking with Lee Schofer, Staffordshire, a 65-year-old Navy veteran, outside an October Trump rally in Arizona. I've watched this country deteriorate from the law and order America I loved into a country where certain people are above the law, Staffordshire said. Hillary Clinton is above the law. Illegal immigrants are above the law. Judges have stopped enforcing the laws they don't agree with. Staffordshire went on about his fondness of firearms and his loathing of the Democratic Party. They want to turn this into some communist country, he said. I say over my dead body. This sort of rhetoric cooled for a time after Trump's victory. But then came special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian election interference and possible collusion, and the subsequent arrests of some of the president's closest confidants. Then came the first impeachment of Trump himself. By the time his re-election campaign got underway, Trump was fashioning himself a wartime president, portraying himself on the front lines of a pitched battle between decent, patriotic Americans and a deep state of government thugs who aim to enforce conformity and silent dissent. On December 18th, 2019, the day he was impeached for the first time, Trump tweeted a black and white photo that showed him pointing into the camera. "They're not after me, they're after you," read the caption. "I'm just in the way." Excuse me. As I hit the road again in 2020, crisscrossing the nation to get a read on the Republican base, it was apparent that something had changed. There was plenty of that same bombast, all the usual chesty talk of people taking matters into their own hands. But whereas once the rhetoric had felt scattered, rooted in grievances against the left, or opposition to specific laws, or just general discomfort with a country they no longer recognized, the new threats seemed narrow and targeted. Voter after voter told me there had been a plot to sabotage Trump's presidency from the start, and now there was a secretive plot to stop him from winning a second term. Everyone in government, public health officials, low-level bureaucrats, local election administrators, was in on it. The goal wasn't to steal the election from Trump. It was to steal the election from them. They've been trying to cheat us from the beginning, Deborah Frey. Wow, where did he find these people? Deborah Frey told me outside a Ford plant in Michigan that Trump was visiting during the early days of the pandemic. First it was Mueller, then it was Russia. Isn't it kind of convenient that as soon as impeachment failed, we've suddenly got this virus? I asked her to elaborate. The deep state, she said. This was domestic political terrorism from the Democratic Party. This kind of thinking explains why countless individuals would go on to donate their hard-earned money, more than $250 million in total, to an election defense fund that didn't exist. It explains why others swarmed vote counting centers, intimidated poll workers, signed on to shoddy legal efforts, flocked to fringe voices advocating solutions such as martyrdom and secession from the Union, threatened to kill elections officials, boarded buses to Washington, and ultimately stormed the United States Capitol. What made January 6th so predictable, the willingness of the Republican leaders to prey on the insecurities and outright paranoia of these voters, is what makes August 8th so dangerous. Excuse me. The Obama FBI began spying on President Trump as a candidate, Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee tweeted this morning. If they can do this to Trump, they will do it to you. If they can do it to a former president, imagine what they can do to you.
They don't need to. You use Facebook to send your messages. They already get your messages.
Sure.
Don't be dumb.
Read a tweet from Republicans on the House Judiciary Committee. They followed up. The IRS is coming for you. The DOJ is coming for you. The FBI is coming for you. No one is safe from political punishment in Joe Biden's America. If there was any doubt remaining, we are now living in a post-constitutional America where the Justice Department has been weaponized against political threats to the regime as it would in a banana republic, the Texas Republican Party tweeted. It won't stop with Trump. You are next. It won't stop with Trump. That much is certain. The House Republican leader, Kevin McCarthy, all but promised retaliation against the Justice Department should his party retake the majority this fall. Investigations of President Joe Biden and his son Hunter were already more or less guaranteed.
Well, Hunter is being investigated.
Yeah.
The question now becomes how wide of a net congressional Republicans, in their eagerness to exact vengeance on behalf of Trump and appease a fuming base, cast in probing other people close to the president and his administration. Assuming that Trump runs in 2024, the stakes are even higher. If Biden or another Democrat defeats him, Republicans will have all the more reason to reject the results, given what they see as the Democrats' politically motivated investigation of the likely Republican nominee. If Trump wins, he and his hardline loyalists will set about purging the DOJ, the intelligence community, and other vital government departments of careerists deemed insufficiently loyal. There will be no political cost to him for doing so. A Trump victory will be read as a mandate to prosecute his opponents. Indeed, that seems to be exactly where we're headed. Biden is playing with fire by using a Democrat dispute to get at the Justice Department to persecute a likely future election opponent, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida tweeted, because one day what goes around is going to come around. And then what? It feels lowest common denominator lazy in such uncertain times to default to speculation of 1860s style secession and civil war. But it's clearly on the minds of Americans. Last year, a poll from the University of Virginia showed that the majority of Trump voters, 52%, and a strong minority of Biden voters, 41%, strongly or somewhat agreed that America is so fractured they would favor red and blue states seceding from the Union to form their own countries. Meanwhile, a poll from the Washington Post and the University of Maryland showed that 1 in 3 Americans believes violence against the government is justified. And a separate poll by NPR earlier this year showed that 1 in 10 Americans believe violence is justified right now. It's hard to see. How any of this gets better, but it's easy to see how it gets much, much worse. We don't know, exactly what the FBI was looking for at Mar-a-Lago. We don't know what was found. What we must acknowledge, even those of us who believe Trump has committed crimes, in some crazy, brazenly so, and deserves full prosecution under the law, is that bringing him to justice could have somewhat awful consequences.
Oh, shucks.
Is that justice worth the associated risks?
Yes.
Yesterday, the nation's top law enforcement officers decided it was. We can only hope they were correct.
Well, if they hadn't, then didn't the other guys already win?
Yeah.
If you guys want to
Exactly.
notice something terrifying, look at what some of the cultists said when their leaders were taken down.
Oh, yeah.
You will find some terrifying similarities, and that's what Trump is doing. He
Yeah.
set up a cult of people who
Oh,
will
sure.
follow him to the ends of the fucking earth.
Right, the American Dream did that.
Yep.
That's
pretty
all
much
this
just-
is.
He's pretty much just abusing their existing beliefs
Yep.
to...
Yep.
It's what they've always
Whatever.
done.
No, and again, I'm not necessarily saying that any of us here on BoomerX tonight agree with this particular opinion, but it was an interesting piece and it was well
No,
written.
that's so too.
And I thought it would be worthy of hearing out and, you know.
Yeah.
I find it annoying because it really wants Trump to be the problem when this shit started at least under Bush.
Well, I think that's the bigger problem is that most people, so most Democrats are under the illusion that this is all because of Trump, because that's when they noticed, right?
And-
That's when a lot of people noticed this stuff, was when Trump started to get involved. The problem is it was there. It was hiding just under the surface, or you weren't looking hard enough.
Yeah, Trump and his friends
They
have
made
done
it
an
brazen.
excellent. I'm sorry.
They made it brazen.
Oh, absolutely.
the
They
odds.
industrialized the hate and the
They started
jealousy
saying
and
the
the
quiet
fear.
part out loud.
And the coarsening begins with the war whores in Iraq and Afghanistan, right? That, no, we got here a while back.
Yep.
And the fact that if you're a country club Republican or whatever, you didn't see it, of course you didn't.
Yeah.
You
But-
weren't meant to.
No, you were a beneficiary.
They
You
were
also
hiding.
think the $7 an hour people are getting now is more than you got when you were working for minimum wage.
Yeah, but you're
And that's
also
a
not
lie.
looking at how much money that money you were making
They
was
don't care
worth
about
back
the
then.
fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, everyone remembers their childhood as a golden time because they
Yeah.
didn't have a mortgage to deal with.
Right.
And then now we've got two generations at this table who, no, like we're going to have mortgages.
Boomers were in their first houses and starting businesses in their
Yeah.
early 20s.
Yeah.
Gen Xers in their late 20s, and millennials never. And Gen Zers never.
Well,
No, we need to fix that. It's up to the Democratic Party because sure as shit, the Trump Party isn't going to do it.
Yep.
Sure.
The Trump Party is going to sell their little adherents to the corporations. In fact, they already have.
What the Republican Party...
The ones they can't steal money
The
from.
one thing that you can guarantee the Republican Party is going to do every time is everything their corporate owners ask them to. They don't care what you as a person or, you know, as a citizen want, or the fact that you voted for them means nothing to these people. You are worthless.
And that's why I save almost all of my anger and bile and venom for my side of this argument, who doesn't seem to understand that all of those areas we aren't competitive in is because every time we run somebody on hope and change or whatever
And disappoint them.
and make them a laughingstock to their families,
Yeah.
they hate us for life. They hate us. Who's the guy who likes feet? Dick Morris, supposedly. Dick
Allegedly.
Morris. Well, Dick Morris was a big brain for the Democrats under Clinton's, and then he had a weird sex thing happen, and the Democrats ran the fuck away. And so, a person with an intellect built entirely and only to do this one thing found a home in a place where they don't give a shit what you fuck up to it, including children and comely or farmyard animals.
Yep.
Right? You can be a family values, whatever, and you can do whatever you want. It's cool. You can go to Rape a Kid Island or whatever. But they took him in, and he has drifted far.
Didn't the
farther
Associated
than crazy.
Press just do a big investigation of the Mormon Church?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it's exactly like you think it is. And again, I hold with. Does anyone think there's actually a point beyond that? It's like tiny, like buttholes and money, right? I don't know what churches are into other than that. I guess generic holes. Not trying. You know,
Right, but-
90s with it kind of. Thing.
So, this whole, you know, Civil War thing, we've touched on several times, which
Right.
is why I felt that it would be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that there has been upticks of violent chatter, as we've discussed.
I think
that
something
sort of
has
thing
actually
going on.
changed. So this is the thing I've never seen addressed in any of the. Oh my God! This new thing has suddenly gone wrong.
Yeah.
The one thing that isn't true or wasn't true before, right? Because we've had accelerationists since forever.
Oh, yeah.
Right, 1778, there was some idiot wandering around yelling, "Burn it down! I don't have enough freedom." But there are several leaders in the accelerationist camps among the like real scary motherfuckers, like get it done at night kind.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they were at Occupy Wall Street, and they were leaders there too. which means
Interesting.
they speak Democrat at a fundamental level, and they have decided through observation, right or wrong, that the system has to go right, that the system is itself the problem, and those are the kind of people who can punch you in places you can't recover from.
Yep. Well, the system better learn quick, but I am pleased that the Department of Justice has finally
Yes.
gotten up on its hind legs and said no American is above the law.
No, they haven't said that, but
They haven't.
They're
said
at
that
least
either.
They've
Beginning-
taken the first step in that
yeah,
direction.
they took a breath to say something.
Again, they didn't use flashbangs and they didn't shoot his dog.
Yeah, or
Does he have a dog?
Ivanka. It's the closest thing to a thing he pours love into and gets little in return. That wasn't meant to be shitty or anything else. Like,
All right, on that note, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, heart, follow, review, smash that like button on YouTube. Go to BoomerRexTonight, no spaces on Facebook for fun memes, and a link to our Patreon. Give us $1. You can find us on YouTube as BoomerRex, or check your favorite podcasting service for BoomerRexTonight. We can be found on over a dozen different platforms, including Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Samsung Podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at BoomerRexTonight, and if you Google BoomerRexTonight, no spaces, all links will lead you to us. We love y'all. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.
See
I
you.
just want to
for
say
more-
something real
Oh.
quick. So, for anybody in our audience who may or may not be Republicans or Republican leaning, look at who you are standing next to. I understand you might not agree with what the Democrats are saying, but what your peers are saying should concern you more than what the other guys are saying.
Yep.
even the most radical Democrats I know don't yell
Yeah.
about being domestic terrorists.
No.
They don't
No
openly
terrorist
say.
calls themselves that, you fucking moron.
Exactly.
You talk about freedom fighter and other shit. Like, that's what pisses me off about all this, is it'd be so easy to run it the other way and explain about the excesses of the global war on terror and how we attacked a religion. Right? All that shit garbage Bush used to babble.
Yeah.
And for all the people
Bush.
who are going
Yes.
to inevitably complain about, oh, but the Republican Party is supported by the corporations, that's Democrats. No, that's your party.
Yeah.
Your party is the one that is being manipulated the most, in my opinion.
The most.
What I've seen.
I think we have to admit that there are a number of
Like,
Democrats
no-
who owe their office
Yeah.
to one or more corporations. I'd point to Kristen Sinema as being a
Joe Manchin.
wholly owned,
No matter.
Except Joe Manchin
Coal
wholly
industry.
owns the coal bit.
the
No
coal
matter where
industry
you look in
and the
politics.
$500,000 that they've given Kristen Sinema in the last few months.
Yeah.
No matter where you look in politics, right now, corporations will always have a say. But right now, as it stands, most of the Republican Party is actively trying to form a cult so that they have an excuse to get a bunch of people together to try and overthrow the government.
Yep.
Again, that's what they're trying to do.
Yep.
If not through the legal purposes
Anyone
of
know-
doing so, they might try
Yeah.
through force.
Yep. No, I think that is good. And once again, from the mouths of babes, folks, this is your Gen Zer speaking. And we'll see you back here tomorrow night for more. And maybe
All right.
we need to do a discussion point or something because it seems like people have more to say about this. All right, we'll
Bye,
discuss,
Internet.
and we'll see you tomorrow
Good
night
night.
for more Boomer Rex tonight.
Ooh-ah.